Hi everybody, been a while, and things are kind of weird in cybersecurity as cybersecurity field is kind of becoming a very private club. I don't know if you feel that with the AI stuff, and I'm going to speak about the project Glasswing today, which is something that is a big shift in what we see in the tech and cyber field today. Project Glasswing is basically Anthropic porting its vulnerability detection solution based on AI, which is very efficient. And it has identified way more vulnerability than ever before. It has discovered so many vulnerability in so many places that tech people do not have the bandwidth to patch it all. And what they did is kind of a weird move, although it's kind of recovering control over what's happening in tech. I'm muting my phone right there. So you can see that they announced a new project, a new initiative that bring together AWS, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, not the big names, the private club. And what it means is them together, they have access to the tool that allow them to scan their stuff or anybody's stuff and find vulnerability that are not yet identified by the common people, us, and the world technology, the public hosting, anything that is not big tech. And by doing so, they claim, it's to make sure that the security is fixed on the big solution provider side. But what it means is also creating a feeling in the population, in the tech world, that basically say, if you are not part of the big guns, you are off crap because you cannot actually fix anything. That's the final takeover of anything you could own on a technological standpoint, because it says that anything you own is vulnerable, you cannot secure it, you do not have access to this technology. So, it's called Mythos or Mythos or whatever you call it. As in French, I would say it's Mythos. C'est ça la solution. Anyway, and basically, it's identifying more and more vulnerabilities. And that's a big shift in technology, and we see two things happening. First of all, big tech are very excited because they say they're going to fix it. From a geopolitical standpoint, actually, who owns the big AI that can discover so many vulnerability is really the winner on the internet today. Like any foreign country, could not stand a chance in face of an organization, a country that have a tool that is able to identify, spot, and discover vulnerability in systems that the other will not be able to. So it's kind of trying to recover a certain control over the tech. I believe the timing also matching the digital sovereignty that is coming from Europe, where the market are trying to recover the data back from the US companies because of the Cloud Act. And that seems to be a move trying to warn people, saying like, if you are not with us, you are against us, and we will not give you the tool to fix your stuff so we can actually hack you. So the choice is data sovereignty, or you still keep your stuff on our systems because we are the only one able to secure it. And that's a big shift also on the job market, in the cybersecurity market as well. Obviously, who's gonna work in cyber knowing that even with your best effort, without access to the tool, you will not be able to fix these issues because you cannot access them, you cannot know them. So that's a big deal, and there is a big shift. And I see, I'm on LinkedIn sharing a lot, seeing the exchange stuff, despite the algorithm change on LinkedIn, which like dropped totally the followers metric toward like content and topic relation kind of content. So basically your content is shown to people they think should see the content. That's also something weird. Anyway, so the feeling there, and you see like there's a disconnection now. Organizations are trying to find, despite all the people being fired in tech, like 10,000 at Facebook, 10,000 there and there and there, it's nonstop. But at the same time, I see a lot of job opportunities in cyber where organizations try to hire people, but they do not find people. So I think the challenge is that what's the point of taking a job like a CISO position or any security related position, while you actually know, given that situation, you will not be able to patch it. You will not be able to avoid it. So basically, you jump on a job, you know you're gonna face an incident, and you know there is a lot of laws about liability and stuff like that. So unless the organization is willing to review the security architecture and shrink down the attack surface, reduce the online services, and focus really on the core value, you cannot really protect them as long as the situation remains. So sure, you can say you can use this tool from these companies, and if you host using this big tech only, then you may have some security, some of it. Point is, they do prioritize the identified bug in these companies, okay? But we cannot assume that the foreign nation, let's say China or other country, Russia, whoever has access to AI, is not running the exact same tool that actually find other vulnerabilities, and that these ones are not actually properly classified, because this is really happening out of CVEs, as they do that in secret. And that's why I say the cybersecurity is becoming a very private club. Either you are on that club or on the other club, the other countries that do their own stuff. And the challenge is pick your location and hope that the side you choose is going to be able to protect you. And that's not an easy one. So gone are the day where you could own your architecture, use like open source stuff, build your own stack, apply the best practice and the patches. No, that's not no longer even enough. It's now more about handling the incidents. So yeah, layered security, adding multiple layers is still going to be a good thing, because it will make the exploitation more complex. Although we see more and more AI used in exploitation as well, in active exploitation. I was speaking to friends that do actually capture the flag games. I think it was they were at NorSec. That was one of the latest one. And they said basically it's about how to use AI more than knowing the skills and being able to exploit or understand the system, understand how it works. The value shift from knowing how to prompt instead of really understanding the system, the technology side of it. You still need to be able, to know what you look for, where when you get even a reverse shell on a machine, what to do with it and stuff like that. Yet AI can still guide you in that. So that's a big change that's happening. And I think the employment, the market with people around is going to be affected with that. And it's not even about running your own AI on-prem like I used to do, because the model that has been trained working on identifying logical flow, technical flow, is not the same as the model that you can download on Oliama repository or any AI repositories. It's really very deeply technical stuff. And also restricted, because to enhance the learning of the machine, obviously it needs to have access to the source, to the code source of these solutions, which are not open source tools. So you, as an individual, cannot run that against the source because you do not have access to it. It's all closed code projects. So that's something to consider as well. So there is a lot of big layers, like a speech about cybersecurity in the age of AI, blah, blah, blah. They say... they explain to you how to identify vulnerability and exploit with Cloud Mythos review. And the issue is also based on the fact that you can only run so many requests. It's token based. And that was a great post this morning on LinkedIn that I did reshare. If I find a link, I will put it in comments as well. Well, someone was explaining how token is like a digital currency which value is controlled by the provider. You don't know how many tokens any prompt you send is going to be consumed. So it could be like 10 tokens, or for the same request could be 100 tokens or 1,000 tokens. You have no idea. It's like Robux in Roblox. Sorry. So how do you know how much you're going to spend? You have no idea. And that means that the cost of compensation measure, compensating the vulnerability, identifying how many you can identify, is not an obvious linear one. So you need to rely on the third party as well. And that also means that the patching pace is going to be crazy, like no more in a patch Tuesday, it's patch as you discover. So that's not sustainable as well. So yeah, it's gonna lead at first to big burnouts, then a pile of incidents, and then a new kind of subscription to the private circle of cyber, where you will have, certified, checked system by AI, something like that, which not gonna be free, and that's reducing freedom as well. So that's a big change. They say, Mythos found a 27-year-old vulnerability in OpenBSD and everything. And the logical flow happen everywhere. This is built by human, and no human has a holistic view on the whole source code base. So AI actually can identify like design flows, way to pile action that can lead to exploit, which human can barely do. So yeah, that's a big shift. Now, the point is, there is a big shift happening in technology. What's the reaction toward that? What can you do against this? It's, okay, open vulnerability disclosure process, enhance the software update process, open source manipulation technology to see. You see, Anthropic is discussing with the US government official to preview, etc. What's happening is there is a big shift in technology. And now, when you think about that, and you consider where the world is heading with everything connected, which I've been warning a lot about, like connected cars and stuff like that, how are we going to keep up the security around this with the whole connected stuff, which we can't secure fast enough? Because Mythos is going to be able to find vulnerability in industrial system, in automotive, in any field that has been known and slow for a year to patch. So the solution right now is, to me, keeping disconnected things, old stuff, that are not requiring full-time connection, because we can't maintain them. We can't keep the pace of that. Industry cannot keep the pace of that. There are not no resources for that, and teams and organizations are not ready for this. So will we become ready? Yes, but the growth we've seen in tech is going to be shrinking due to the fact that you cannot expand in an exponential way as we did in the past year due to that system. Because it will not allow anyone to release a system saying, oh, it's going to be safe to use. No, it's not safe to use as long as you cannot run that thing 24/7 against it, and you have a process to actually actively patch it. But then is it worth it? Because the cost of token, as I was saying, like the virtual digital currency, is growing like crazy. Are we going to pay $1 million to search to find a bug in one EV, like one bug in one EV? Is it going to be worth it? It's going to raise the cost of that EV. So, at some point, is it worth having that thing connected? No, I don't think so. I think it's a wrong way to complexify and add layers on top of layers on top of layers, non-stop. It's going to be like unbearable. We already see the inflation, but that's part of the inflation. Why a car? Because I like, car is connected computer right now, and the price of car is becoming unaffordable because it's constantly growth due to security and environmental requirement and connectivity. So that mass of tech in it make it unaffordable. So maybe we should go back to simpler things. We don't need things to be connected like that. We need to be connected, if it's an EV, to charge it. But that's it. We don't need connectivity after that. And that will make things way, way, way more cheaper. Or use old cars. That's my take for now. So yeah, in technology overall, anything you run, anything organization run and exposed, that should be restricted. One way to work around that is to get back to the good old VPN approach, which means that nothing exposed publicly. Any work environment is going to be within a VPN, which should be like post-quantum proof, quantum-proof cipher, obviously, as far as we know today. And that's going to be a way, shrink the exposure, reduce the ever-connected stuff. The public cloud model is wrong about that, despite them being part of the club. So, this is how they can claim they keep their stuff online, because the group right there supposedly have running the stuff and are patching, supposedly. Or maybe, when it's going to be public, it's going to be a big surprise. But yeah, the way we do computing connected to cloud and all that stuff should be revised, because no one is going to be able to maintain such a big attack surface with such a powerful tool. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the AI full automation and stuff, and when we see that triggering a big shift, I don't think is serving us more than it's actually doing negative impact. Yet, as some strategists were saying, if the West or US, Canada, don't do that first, the other one, the adversaries, will do it as well. So maybe it's a good time to both think about how to integrate these solutions and how to shrink your exposure, reduce your attack surface, reduce your dependence on ever connected stuff, because we are going through a big storm in the coming weeks, months. And you saw Anthropic got breached as well at some point. Cloud code got leaked and stuff, so they cannot even secure their own stuff when they actually own the super pseudo tool that you're supposed to fix everything. So if they cannot fix their own stuff with that power, I don't think any third party using that tool will be able to fix fully their own stuff either. So a big storm ahead, and during that storm you better have well-sealed infrastructure, especially for critical systems, reduce exposure, reduce connectivity, because the one that will sustain and survive during that storm are the one that use independent system, analog system, and have an actual resilience plan against the technical digital storm. So if you're not in the cybersecurity private club with these guys, I guess you're out. So we are, so I am. So wishing you a good one. I hope it's gonna be a food for thought. You're gonna think about it. Leave in the comment what you see as potential outcome for that. What will be a good strategy? What could be a possible strategy? What's your strategy? You may want to keep for you, but what could be a strategy? Let me know. Subscribe, share, tell me. That's a good discussion to have. See you later, people.